Victimology, Theories and Applications, Chapter 11, Victims of Rape and Sexual Assault. Definition of rape and sexual assault, according to the World Health Organization: any sexual act, attempt to attain a sexual act, unwanted sexual comments or advances, or acts to traffic or otherwise directed against a person's sexuality using coercion by any person, regardless of their relationship to the victim, in any setting, including but not limited to home and work. The scope of the problem: an estimated 88,000 forcible rapes were reported to law enforcement in 2009. The rate of forcible rapes in 2009 was estimated at 56.6 per 100,000 female inhabitants, a 3.4% decrease when compared to the 2008 estimate rate of 58.6. Rapes by force comprised 93% of reported rape offenses in 2009, and attempts or assaults to commit rape accounted for 7.7% of reported rapes. A little over 41% of forcible rapes were cleared by arrest or exceptional means. Prevalence of rape in college women: 1 in 4 women surveyed was a victim of rape or attempted rape. An additional 1 in 4 women surveyed was touched sexually against her will or was the victim of sexual coercion. 84% of those raped knew their attacker. 57% of those raped happened while on dates. 1 in 12 male students surveyed had committed acts that met the legal definition of rape or attempted rape. 84% of those men who committed rape said that what they did was definitely not rape. 16% of male students who committed rape and 10% of those who attempted a rape took part in episodes involving more than one attacker. Responses of college women: only 27% of those women whose sexual assaults met the legal definition of rape thought of themselves as rape victims. 42% of rape victims did not tell anybody about their assaults. Only 5% of rape victims reported the crime to police. Only 5% of rape victims sought help at a rape crisis center. Whether they had acknowledged their experience as a rape or not, 30% of the women identified as rape victims contemplated suicide after the incident, and 82% of victims said the experience had permanently changed them. Legislation, public policies, and funding rape reform. Movement activists organized to develop a rape law reform agenda, solicit public support, and present their case to legislators. Rape law reforms implemented in the 1970s and 1980s were successful in getting victims to access the legal and support systems. Data examined from 1973 to 1990 demonstrated a 10% increase in rape reports to the police. Clay, Warner, and Burt in 2005 reported women were 88% more likely to report rape to police in the modern reform period than prior to 1975. Rape shield legislation, taken from Table 11.3 in your textbook. The application of rape shield legislation: manner and degree to which women's sexual history is admitted into evidence, types of laws, legislative exception laws, and the description. 25 states have enacted legislation that prohibits evidence of the victim's sexual predisposition or history unless there have been relevant instances of prior consensual sex between the accuser and the defendant, someone other than the defendant was the source of semen, other bodily fluids, or cause of injury, there has been a relevant pattern of prior sexual conduct to the complainant, there is bias or bad motive that could cause fabrication of the accusation, there is evidence that shows the accused believed the complainant gave consent, there have been previous instances of false accusation on the part of the accuser. Type of law: constitutional catch-all laws. Description: 11 states have enacted legislation that resembles the legislated exception laws with an added exception. Evidence of previous sexual history of the complainant will be admitted if the judge determines that the inadmissibility of such evidence will violate the defendant's constitutional right. Type of law: judicial discretion laws. Description: 9 states grant the judge broad discretion to determine whether evidence of the complainant's sexual history should be admitted. The judge will balance the evidence relevancy and probate value against the prejudicial effect. Type of law: evidentiary purpose laws. Description: 4 states determine admissibility of previous sexual history evidence based on the purpose of doing so in trial. For example, In California and Delaware, sexual history offered to prove consent is prohibited, but using it to attack the complainant's credibility is permissible. In Nevada and Washington, the opposite occurs. Evidence for attacking credibility is prohibited, but using it to prove consent is allowed. Types of sexual assault. Statutory rape. All states have legislation as to the age of consent for sex, even if consent is considered consensual. Marital rape. No consensual sex with spouse. Acquaintance rape. Unwanted intercourse with someone known. And sexual homicide. Barriers to reporting rape. Age, race, involvement of alcohol or drugs, relationship with the offender, seriousness of the assault, use of weapons, fear of retaliation, shame, or fear of blame. Negative rape beliefs, taken from Table 11.6 in your textbook, shows rape beliefs and phase of rape. Under phase of rape, crime factors, and rape attitudes and beliefs. Number 1, phase of rape before the rape. Crime factors, stranger versus non-stranger relationship. She is acquainted with the offender. Time between incident and report. She meets him in a risky setting. Use of force. Her behavior is provocative, drinking, demeanor, or clothing. Phase of rape during the rape. Crime factors include location of assault and weapon used, rape attitudes and beliefs. She consents, then changes her mind, and she doesn't resist or scream or call for help. Phase of rape after the rape. Crime factors, weapon used, resistance of victim. Rape attitudes and beliefs. She doesn't immediately report or tell anyone for a while. She has no bruises or torn clothing. She doesn't go for medical exam, or the exam has no forensic finding, and she stays with the offender or sees him again or resumes her usual lifestyle. Typology of sexual trauma. Rape trauma syndrome was one of the 3 typologies identified by Burgess and Holstrom in 1974. Result of interviews with 146 people between the ages of 3 and 73 admitted to BCH with the complaint, "I've been raped." Of the 146, 92 women ages 18 to 73 were classified as rape trauma victims. Rape, sex without the victim's consent. Blitz rape, out of the blue with no prior interaction between victim and offender. Confidence rape, interaction prior to assault. Offender obtains sex under false pretenses by using deceit, betrayal, or often violence. Pressured sex, an inability to consent. Sexual acts are against the victim's will, and they are forced by the assailant to do the sexual acts. The assailant stands in a relationship of power over the victim, gains access to the victim by 3 methods. Pressures the victim to take material goods, pressures victim to accept human contact, pressures victim to believe the sexual activity is appropriate and enjoyable. Make sure the victim gets something out of the sexual encounter so it's not perceived as negative at the time. Sex stress situation, sex with initial consent. Not a case of assailant gaining access without consent. Clear that initially consent was given, usually what went wrong was the assailant exploited this agreement in several ways. In some cases, authorities, police, or parents came upon the consenting couple, and then these authorities themselves defined the situation as rape. Very few of these sex stress victims take the case to court. Workplace harassment. Confidence rapes also occur in the workplace or school setting, and the authority figure or figures, school or employer, fail to intervene. Case of senior in high school sexually harassed at work by 6-foot intimidating male in his 30s. Co-worker and supervisors did nothing. Harassment escalated to touching, then forcing her into a closet and forcing her to perform oral sex. The psychological impact of sexual assault. Differential response to sexual assault and rape. Symptoms persisted over a long period of time, and some didn't abate despite therapeutic efforts. Neuroscience and biology studies have revealed substance changes in the basic central nervous system functioning. Variety of various symptoms specific symptoms become known as rape trauma syndrome, and they can be immediate or acute phase or a long-term phase. Burgess-Holmstrom study was twofold: clinical focus and institutional focus. Made clear suffering did not end with the assailant's departure. Response of those who help the victim can either diminish or heighten the suffering. Silence response to rape and a compounded reaction to rape. Post-traumatic stress disorder, also called PTSD, rape trauma syndrome preceded the term PTSD by 6 years. This umbrella term, under which the various life-threatening events could fall, first appeared in the DSM of mental disorders published in 1980. Classifying reports rapist. To better appreciate what the rape victim has been through, it's helpful to understand what about the rapist. What prompts offenders to rape? What determines their choice of victim? Early research identified 3 domains: power, anger, and sexuality. This was by Groth, Burgess, and Holstrom in 1977. Clinical work revealed that rape, in fact, serves primarily non-sexual needs. Basic observation is that not all such offenders are alike. Distinguishable pattern of rape become evident, including anger rape, sexual becomes hostile, power rape, sexuality is expression of conquest, sadistic rape, anger and control become eroticized. Theory of interpersonal aggression. Rape and sexual assault ensue from interpersonal aggression. Rapes and sexual assault not primarily motivated by material gain and not group sanctioned. Underlying emotional conflict or psychological issue propels the offender to commit rape and sexual assault. Exploitive rape, also known as power reassurance rape. Aggression is generally low, does not exceed beyond victim's compliance. This type shows little skill in negotiating interpersonal relationships and feels inadequate in most areas of his or her life. Rape is experienced for offender is one of anxiety, excitement, and anticipated pleasure. Exploitive rape, premeditated and preceded by obsessional fantasy and is almost always at odds with reality. Reality of the rape leaves him disappointed with the actual event, and therefore he must go out of his way to find another victim. Offenses become repetitive and compulsive. May be an increase in aggression over time. Aggression is expressed less as anger and more as a means of domination, and rape becomes assertion of virility. Anger rape, excessive and unprovoked physical and verbal aggression even with the victim being compliant. Rage is evident, primary motive, not sexual arousal, suggesting not fantasy-driven. Resistance from victim will increase aggression, resulting in serious injury or death. Often, specific details are lost to the rapist's memory in the aftermath of blind with rage. His relationship with the important women in his life are fraught with conflict, irritation, and jealousy. Sadistic rape. Aggression itself is eroticized. Assault appears ritualized and usually involves bondage and torture. Sexual areas of victim are target for injury, finds pleasure in the victim's suffering. Assault is deliberate, victim is stalked, captured, and abused. May or may not involve offender's genitals. In some cases, intercourse may occur post-mortem. False allegations. Falsely alleging that a sexual assault has occurred. Multiple and complex reasons why a person may make a false allegation. Pseudo-victim may or may not identify a person or location. Potential consequences of a false allegation. As in old biblical times, Potiphar Joseph, infamous Tawana Bradley case, 7-month state grand jury investigation revealed that it was false. More recent incident at Duke University. Preponderance of the evidence supporting the defense. State Attorney General intervened and reprimanded the local prosecutor. Emotional problems in need of attention. When rape complaints are determined to be false, investigators will be wise to call in mental health professionals. Investigators may suspect a false claim when the victim changes her story, not to be confused with recall of more detail from an actual victim. 3 elements to any crime: perpetrator, crime setting scene. One can make a false allegation to any of all these factors. National Sexual Violence Resource Center, called the NSVRC, is funded by the Center for Disease Control, is the nucleus of a national movement to prevent sexual violence. Broad goals: strengthen support system of victims, provide accurate information and technical assistance in supporting the intervention and prevention of sexual assault, identifying emergency policy issues, development of organizational structures to support NSVRC activities. SANE SART, SANE-SART, grown exponentially nationally, collection of evidence to facilitate apprehension and prosecution of offenders, utilize specialized forensic equipment, document bruises and injuries, maintains a chain of evidence, and provides expert witness testimony. That ends this narrated version of this Power